So some more stuff about the Northridge earthquake. I was trying to remember the name of the apartment building. It collapsed. It was the Northridge Meadows apartment complex, and 16 people were killed. And anyway, I want to show you a few pictures too. A few more pictures of. I got these different books and so on. Earthquake. Like this, 6.8. It's like this is. This is the freeway, and it's like I wanted to mention the officer that was killed. He came down. That poor guy. He came down to help. To be assistance because the earthquake happened. And I guess he lived up north. North a ways. Like in I don't know. It's like I don't know Santa Clarita. Or, it was up a ways, and he got on his motorcycle and came down the freeway, not knowing it had collapsed, and the poor guy. Died. He drove off the edge of the freeway because it had collapsed and he had no idea. So and I know they named the interchange, that when they redid it, they named the interchange after him. So, and there's this is Trailer Park. This is in Sylmar. And anyway, I wanted to relay a few stories about. Some of the stories that were told to me, what happened to some people. There was a guy I knew in Menza that he actually was up. There were actually a few people that were up and about at 4:30 in the morning. He was actually at home, and he was sitting at his desk. I guess he had a work desk at home or something, doing something. And he said that, it's like, he said that when it happened, he actually admitted to screaming. He was screaming. And he went underneath the desk, and he was screaming. He actually admitted to screaming. I don't remember the guy's name, but that had to be tough on somebody that it's like to admit to screaming when it was happening. But it was terrifying. The experience was terrifying. There was somebody I worked with, Lenore DeMedici. She was she did computer stuff. She did like a consultant and stuff, and would come in and set up computer systems and stuff. She told me that that her bed frame, I can't remember what part of the valley she was living in. I want to say it was Granada Hills or something, and she said that the headboard, she had a big headboard, and the headboard came down and cracked and smashed down. It didn't injure her apparently. It's like I think she did get injured, but not necessarily from that. But that's what happened to her. And then there was a there was somebody else. There was a couple that I knew from. Actually, it was a woman who. That worked. She was a CPA, or she was learning. She was getting licensed or whatever, become a CPA and stuff. And she would come in and do some work for us sometimes. And she told me that her and her boyfriend were in bed, and obviously they must have lived in the valley. But this is when I was working for Santa Monica Bay Physicians, and she said that they were actually thrown out of bed. They were actually thrown. I had a death grip on the bed. Like I said before, but they were actually tossed out of their bed onto the floor. And there was also a doctor. One of the doctors that was working for Santa Monica Bay Physicians, and one of the many doctors there, he actually broke his foot. I think it was his foot, and from getting up and trying to get in a doorway. And that's another thing I was going to mention. It's like there was this stupid thing that been around for probably decades, that it's like if you're in an earthquake. This is so idiotic. If you're in an earthquake, go and stand in a doorway, because then you'll be maybe safe, because it's the safest structure. Well, a lot of people got injured. There was actually thousands of injuries that happened to people during the earthquake. They said there was only about 60 people that were killed, but there were many thousands of injuries. And he broke his foot, and this doctor broke his foot. But the thing is, like they were telling people, it's like there was this thing, and you go and stand in the doorway. Well, an enormous amount of people were injured because of that stupid idea that you go and go over to the doorway. Well, a lot of people got injured because of that, and he actually broke his foot because of that. So it's like, and there were a lot of other injuries too that were caused because people got up because they were told to go to the go over to a doorway, to be safe. But when the earthquake's that bad, you can't, you really can't make it to a doorway. It's like I never even thought of about going to the doorway because I was just trying to hang on to the bed so I didn't get thrown out of bed. So that that was another. It's like don't do that. But I know a lot of people were injured just because of that. They were trying to make it to a doorway. Let's see. There was, I think I mentioned it's like, yeah, she got thrown out of bed. Yeah, it's like, and then there was somebody else that I worked at Santa Monica Bay Physicians. Her name was Sandy. I don't remember her last name. She was in charge of billing, and I remember her telling me about she used to get away from her husband. She would spend most of her almost all her waking hours at work that she could. So she got on the freeway, and she was on the freeway at 4:30 in the morning, for God's sakes, on the 405 headed south. And she said that when it happened, the only thing I remember her telling me, she didn't say it's like she was swerving. I don't think she mentioned that, but she said she saw transformers blowing up, on the side, off the sides of the freeway. She was driving down, and they were like, they were just exploding. They were just exploding as she was coming down down the freeway, and and then I'll get into what happened at Santa Monica Bay Physicians as a separate story. But that's the stories I can remember. There's also I have a video of somebody talking about what happened with her. She lived in actual Northridge.